Welcome back to Bitcoin Treasuries. I'm Tim Kotzman. I'm here with Adrian Morris. Adrian, how are you today?
Doing very well. Things are hectic, but doing very, very well.
Well, yeah, as we said before we started, strap in because things are just going to get more fun from here, I think.
Absolutely.
Can you walk us through, from your vantage point, where we are now with MSTR, with strategy? How does all of this work together? MSTR, the stock, the convertible debt, STRK, now STRF, potential stock buybacks. Like, where does that all take us? What is, what do you see?
Well, so I see what Saylor's doing as creating an economy of scale, right? A lot of people think that the big play for strategy, I'm still doing that, is to become a Bitcoin bank. I do think that's in the offing. I think in some ways they may already be a Bitcoin bank with all the offerings that they have. But the reason why I say I think they're creating an economy of scale around strategy is because if we take a look at it, we've got MSTR, right? We've got STRF now. We've got STRK. We've also got the other offerings by other companies, MSTU. We've got MSTX, right? We now have OwnB by Bitwise, and we've got BMax by Rex Financial. So BMax is giving exposure to convertible bonds directly. OwnB is giving exposure to all of the companies that own over 1,000 Bitcoin on their balance sheet in the form of an ETF. What Saylor is doing is he's essentially turned strategy shares and strategy stock into a product, and the volatility is also a product. And with it being a product, he's selling it to market, and he's created this economy around it where you have all of these different players having different levels of interest and different reasons for interest in strategy, whether they're going to do it directly by owning strategy, whether they're going to do it via a dividend in the form of Stripe or Strike, whether they're going to do it through OwnB getting all kinds of generalized exposure, whether they do it through BMax getting exposure to the convertible bonds, whether they do it through MSTU, MSTX getting that 2x play in the heightened volatility. This is now effectively an economy around strategy, right? So where I think we are is I think we are at the early stages of their really big growth curve. We think that the gains that we've seen so far are as big as they're going to get. I don't think so. A lot of people say, oh, it's not going to perform like it did in the past. I'm inclined to think that it's going to have different levels of performance, and it's going to see performance via different means. And I think that he's trying to place strategy in the center of a new economy that's focused on Bitcoin, with all kinds of different people getting different bites of that apple. That's where I think we are, really. I think that he's scaling this thing up. I think that by creating an economy around it, he's trying to find different ways to ensure their survival, regardless of what Bitcoin does. And he's also trying to find ways to weaponize their survival and weaponize their upside because of what Bitcoin does. So I think he has a very, very clean path forward. I saw your interview with Fong Li. I thought that was very, very insightful as well. So really, in terms of a leveraged Bitcoin equity of strategy, he is now turning it into a leveraged Bitcoin economy, I guess you can say, in that he has this entire ecosystem that's being built around it. And I think come 2, 5, 10 years hence, we're going to see strategy at the center of a Bitcoin economy in traditional finance. That's my long spiel on where I think we're going.
Hey guys, this episode is brought to you by OnRamp. Bitcoin custody is evolving. Both self-custody and single third-party custody come with significant risks and trade-offs. OnRamp is pioneering a new standard, multi-institution custody, which eliminates single points of failure, adding fault tolerance and redundancy to your setup. OnRamp secures your Bitcoin in a segregated, cold storage, multi-sig vault, guarded by 3 independent, institutional-grade custodians, none of which have unilateral control. Multi-institution custody removes the technical, mental, and physical burdens of private key management, providing unparalleled peace of mind for you and your loved ones. To learn more, schedule a consultation with the OnRamp team. Go to www.onramp.com www.onrampbitcoin.com. So STRF, does the F stand for fixed income with this 10% sort of interest rate with no convertibility feature, and it's kind of geared towards that fixed income market, or do you think about it differently?
Well, so if I remember his tweet, he said that it's available to institutional investors and select non-institutional investors. So I think that the F could mean fixed. I'm not sure. I'm still reading up on all of the documentation myself. But right now, if we take a look at the hierarchy of offerings for MicroStrategy, if I'm not mistaken, it should go, and I think Ben Workman did a post on this. I should have looked at it. It should go convertible bonds, then strike. No, it should go convertible bonds, then strife, then strike, then MicroStrategy. And I think that in terms of what the offering of strife is, I think it's going to be more catered to purely institutional investors. And when he says select non-institutional investors, I'm assuming that's going to be individuals that fit a certain income threshold, looking for that 10%. And I believe it's only 5 million shares, if memory serves, initially. So I think that it is an institutional investor play, is my guess, primarily. Not to say that non-institutional investors can't get in on it, but I think that's my read on it for now.
The Bitcoin for Corporations Conference is coming to Orlando May 6th and 7th. Receive 20% off admission by going to microstrategy.com, selecting Bitcoin for Corporations, and using discount code KOTZ at checkout, and I'll see you there. Hey guys, today's episode is brought to you by Stampseed. If you're in cold storage, you know how important it is to protect your seed phrase. That's why I recommend you head over to stampseed.com and check it out for yourself. This seed phrase storage device is one solid piece of titanium. There are no loose pieces, and you can hammer your seed phrase in letter by letter. When you go to stampseed.com, use promo code TIM15 for a 15% discount across the website. That's TIM15. What's your take on all of these different levers that Strategy now has from, some people are saying they're going to not use the MSTR ATM as much. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but I know that Fong did mention that the STRK shares into the market seems to not have much impact on the MSTR price. So that's interesting to me. And it just, to me, means ultimate optionality, right? If you have literally 3 ATMs that you could hit or not hit, you could technically do stock buybacks if you wanted to. And you have all this convertible debt. That's a lot of optionality. Do you have anything to add to just the optionality of it all, I guess?
Well, so let's first touch on really quickly what you said. If you take a look at MSTR and Strike, a Strike ATM would be used to buy Bitcoin, which will accrete the MSTR price, which will inevitably accrete the Strike price, right? So that is how that feedback loop is going to work. I would assume it'll work similarly for Strife. However, with the lower offering initially, one of the things I said is I don't anticipate them being as aggressive with regards to the ATM in terms of Strike, because even though proportionally, in terms of volume, it may seem that they're being as aggressive, I think it's going to take them a very, very long time to get through 21 billion on Strike. I don't see them going through it in, what was it, 4 months, 5 months? We went through
40
the
days.
ATM with
40 days.
something like that.
Yeah,
I can't even recall. Has been so breakneck speed with regards to the Strategy ATM. So that's how I think that's going to play out. In terms of optionality, I think you're exactly right. We have MSTR, we have Strike, we have Strife. He can now play the ATM on all 3 of those at varying levels at different times. So to your point, I don't think they're going to do it instead of the Strategy ATM. I think what they're going to do is the Strategy ATM will be more beneficial if the stock price is higher, is at a higher point than it is now. I think from in terms of market perception, investor perception, and just in terms of overall bang for their buck. To keep on that steady accretion pathway without having the pressure of constantly having to hit the Strategy ATM, they can do these piecemeal purchases using Strike and maybe eventually even Strife for the accumulation of the Bitcoin. So yeah, it does give them a lot of optionality. It allows them to still allow it allows them to be able to purchase Bitcoin without the constant pressure of being on the strategy ATM to do so. Even though I'm one of those people that doesn't think that the strategy ATM is in and of itself price suppressive, I know a lot of people think that. So in terms of market perception and investor perception, this does give them added optionality. And any initial dilution we're going to see on Strike with an ATM that's being used to purchase MicroStrategy, shares, not share, they're going to be using the shares to purchase Bitcoin for strategy. That eventually will lead to an increase in price for Strike and Stripe. So I think that it's a nice feedback loop that he has, or as what Raekwon used to say, it was the flywheel effect, right? They have a flywheel effect essentially right now living with regards to how their strategy ecosystem exists. And I think that the larger, as I mentioned, economy of scale is only going to feed into that over time.
I just remember Ryan saying, "Here's the thing, ladies and
Here's the
gentlemen."
thing. Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
Those 6
Yeah.
words.
Or here's the reality, rather. Here's the
Oh, yes,
reality.
yes, yes, yes. I
Yeah.
misquoted. Here's the
Yes.
reality. I love
Yes.
that. Love that.
And yeah, I really think that if people broaden their perspective in terms of strategy, we've got the senior offerings, we've got strategy stock itself, we've got MSTU and MSTX, we've got O&B, we've got BMAX. We have an economy of scale being formed around strategy right now that even when they do become a Bitcoin bank, that is not the end game. The end game is that they are at the epicenter of a new financial system where Bitcoin is the asset that everyone's trying to get exposure to via different means. And let's be honest, BMAX likely wouldn't exist without strategy. O&B likely wouldn't exist without strategy. MSTU and MSTX wouldn't exist without strategy. It's because of strategy that all of these different offerings are coming to the market. And that's why I say it's that he's creating an economy of scale.
Adrian Morris, thank you for your time today.
Happy to be here anytime.